Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the Sports Insight with your host Alandar Khan. And as you know, we give you information about sports from all across the globe. You guys can surely reach out to us on our social media handle, which is at the rate of Indus News Sports. That basically works both for Twitter and Instagram. But anyways, we'll give you the headlines first. Yes, from the world of cricket, Pakistan versus South Africa, the fourth T20 is being played in Centurion today. And yes, Pakistan's wicketkeeper batsman Mohammad Rizwan has been named among Wisden 5 Cricketers of the Year in the 2021 edition. And yes, from the world of NBA, Golden State Warriors beat Cleveland Cavaliers, while Boston Celtics defeat LA Lakers on Friday. The world of tennis, Britain's Dan Evans produced the biggest win of his career by defeating world number 1 Djokovic at Monte Carlo Masters on Thursday. And yes, those were the headlines. And the interesting part is obviously Pakistan will be facing the Proteas today. It's going to be super interesting because it's going to be the final fourth T20 match. Pakistan has actually proved their mettle so far, not on the ODIs, but they are also leading right now in the T20, which is 2-1. So today is going to be the fourth and the final match. But anyways, to discuss this, we have with us a legendary bowler who's always, ensured that Pakistan has to keep their heads high. Umar Gul, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Umar, so I'll talk about the evolution of Pakistan cricket so far. I think we'll start with the victories that actually happened the last T20, in which Babar Azam actually proved himself as a captain, and not only that, how Mohammad Rizwan stood by him improving and getting that run chase.
I think first of all, I would congratulate to Babar Azam the way he changed his game, the way he stopped the critics, because before the last game, he was too much criticized by the people, by the sports journalist, that he scored 50 runs on 50 balls. Right. So I think it was the best way to stop the critics and give them an answer. Because not only he become the second Pakistani who scored 100 in each game, like in every format. Right. And the way he played, the way he lead from the front and win the game for the Pakistan, I think it was amazing.
Right. I think it was definitely, Umar, amazing. And we just want that consistency that obviously Babar Azam has been giving to the team. And even if we look at Mohammad Rizwan, let's talk a bit about Mohammad Rizwan as well. I think his wicket-keeping skills have been spot on. And not only that, he's also proved himself as the top-notch batsman. And he's also named in the Wisden 5 Cricketer of the Year in the 2021 edition. What's your take on Mohammad Rizwan's consistency as a batsman and as a wicketkeeper?
I think, first of all, it's a great honor for him, for all the Pakistani to be announced 5 players in the Wisdom. It's a great honor for him, for his family. He is a hard worker guy and very disciplined. Right. I think he improved a lot from 1.5 years in the way he is batting, and he changed his game. It's total credit goes to him and his hard working. So I think he's a key player for Pakistan, and I hope he will continue the same performance, the same pace for Pakistan cricket.
Right. I would want your expertise on the bowling side. Umar, you've seen the last T20 that was being played, and obviously the score eventually came obviously over 200, which we were really worried about because scoring a 200 is tricky. How do you see the bowlers not being able to control that scoring line, not taking those wickets as needed? What can they do in today's T20 match?
As a bowler, I would say that we are lacking taking wickets in first half, like in first power play with the new ball. We are not able to get some wickets. That's why we are struggling. And at the end, I think as a bowling unit, we are giving too much runs. Hardly I seen any Yorker, any variation. I think as a bowler, I
Right.
would say that we are not bowling with consistent line on length, and the main thing is we are expecting too much from Shaheen Afridi. He is not taking wicket as he perform in the PSL and domestic. I think he's struggling. If we start getting wicket, it will be good not only for him but for Pakistan cricket as well.
Yes, when you talk about variation, Umar, I think that's the most important part. Obviously, you need to come up with different variations in the bowling side to ensure
Yeah.
that you take those initial wickets. Talking about variations, I would also want to talk about the leg spinner that was supposed to be a part of the team in the third T20, but obviously he did not. What's
Yeah.
your take on Usman Qadir?
I think it was the only, as I see, the Pakistan team management, they just want to strengthen the batting, the batting side.
Right,
That's why they include one more extra batsman, and they left out Usman Qadir. But on the other side, if you see Mohammad Nawaz, he performed very well in the
right,
domestic and PSL, so we
right,
are expecting from too much. But so far, he is not consistent with his bat.
right.
In the bowling, he is doing a bit for Pakistan. But in today's game, it's very important for him to perform in both. Like if he comes for to bowl first, he bowled well for Pakistan, and then if he gets some chance in the batting, I think he should contribute for the team.
Well, absolutely. Today's match is going to be super, super crucial. Why? Because of the fact that, we cannot afford a little bit of sloppiness when it comes to even the bowling side or the fielding side. We
Yeah.
have seen a lot of improvement in the team as a team. Because, most of the journalists that I speak to when we talk about Pakistan cricket team, they usually tell me the inconsistency. But we have seen a bit of inconsistency. If you look at the second T20, in which Pakistan was all bowled somewhere in the 140s, which was very, very tricky for us. So how do you see the strategy? Because obviously our motivation level is going to be high. If we have that trickle down effect, how can we make a comeback now?
I think it's a big issue for us. For us, when I was play before me, that as a team we are not that much consistent. Like if you see Australian, England, or other teams,
Right.
but as a team, if you look our team, we are far better than South African right now. So we are hoping for the best, and inshallah, I hope that Pakistan will win today this game. Not only they will win the game and also win the series. So I think it's very important for the team. And as you said earlier, that everybody is saying about the consistency. So it's a good today. It's the opportunity for the team that they win the series and that they win the match.
Right. And talking about Babar Azam, obviously him taking that level of number one in the ODIs, and not only that, then proving himself as making that maiden century 120 plus in 59 balls. How do you see the evolution of Babar Azam as a cricketer?
I think since he started cricket, he's trying to improve. He's trying to learn. So that's the key point for him, and he knows his worth of wicket. So he always trying to, once he gets set, that he try to take it along. So
Right.
I think it's a plus point Babar Azam, and if you heard him yesterday after the game, he was trying that I'm trying to change my batting style because in modern days, no. It's totally change the game. You need to your batting strikers must be high, not like low.
Right.
So I think he's trying to learn day by day, and and these things help him a lot.
Right, right. Omar, I'd want to add one more thing. I would surely want to talk about one more thing, which is the PSL. Obviously, the PSL is eventually going to be lined up somewhere in June. Is it still confirmed so far? Because there have been ups and downs with regards to is it going to happen, not happen. But obviously, we were told that they will be conducting the rest of the matches in June. So, what is the take? What is actually happening on the inside?
I think first of all, it was unfortunate that the PSL postponed in middle, but it's a pandemic. You can't do anything with this pandemic. So yeah, we are also hopeful that in few days back, PCB announced that it's gonna be start again from the 1st June. I hope, inshallah, and we are also excited that if it start, I hope it will goes well and. The people were enjoying, the people of Pakistan, they were enjoying the PSL, and we are also this time I was part of category as a bowling coach. I was also very excited and I was enjoying my the first assignment as a bowling coach.
Right.
So yeah, we are hopeful, and inshallah, I hope it will start again and it will goes inshallah very well.
Smoothly. Yeah, well, let's hope for the best because obviously when we talk about this, the whole situation of the cricket world, and yes, PSL when it started, obviously people were very happy, very joy about it. But eventually, what happened was it came up to a halt because of the corona situation. My last question for you, obviously, with the current match, if you had to make any specific change in the team as a bowling coach, what would you do for Pakistan cricket team for today's match?
I don't think so. Pakistan team will do any change, and if I would coach the bowling coach, I think I would rested Shaheen because he played a lot of cricket. He played all the domestic cricket. He played PSL international games, and now, as I said earlier, he is struggling for the wicket because he couldn't get any wicket that we are expecting from him, and he are also under pressure. And unless he get injured,
Right.
if I would the coach, I would rest him.
Chale. Great. Thank you so very much, Umar, for being of this part of the show and discussing the world
Thank
of
you.
cricket. Thank you very much. So that Umar Gul, and yes, he did add in a very interesting thing, which was obviously not being letting Shaheen Shah Afridi perform because he's played too many games and he's surely tired. But anyways, we'll surely see the interesting match today, which is going to be the final and the fourth T20 match against the Proteas. But anyways, we'll take a quick break, and once we're back from the break, there is more coming up your way from the world of sports. See you guys after the break. Welcome back, guys, from the break. And before the break, we were discussing the world of cricket. Obviously, Pakistan facing South Africa in the fourth T20 match. But anyways, we surely discuss more sports as well. So I'll quickly jump over to the world of NBA. And yes, there have been a lot of things that have actually been happening in the world of NBA. Not only the victories and stuff, but there are some sad news as well, which surely we'll be discussing. But to discuss all of the world of NBA, we have with us Matthew Miranda, all the way from New York. And he has been writing about basketball, soccer, sports society, etc. So it would surely be an honor to have him on the show. Matthew, welcome to the show.
All right, thank you very much for having me on.
Great. So Matthew, first things first, we'll talk about the matches that currently were underway. Obviously, the Warriors versus the Cavaliers to begin with, and the Warriors win against the Cavaliers. So what's your take on that first particular match that happened on Friday?
It was pretty typical right now where both teams have been playing. Golden State has been much better lately, especially because Steph Curry has been, even by his own standards, amazing the last couple of weeks. He had more than 30 points again last night for the ninth game in a row.
Right.
Golden State took over the game in the second quarter and basically dominated all the way through after that. Even with all the players that they don't have this year, they don't have Klay Thompson. They just lost their excellent big rookie. James Wiseman is out for the year now after knee surgery, but they still have just too much firepower for Cleveland. And so between Steph had 33, Andrew Wiggins had 5 3-pointers, Juan Toscano Anderson had a career high 20 points. So Golden State now has won 4 in a row. They really look like they're coming into their best form of the year, whereas Cleveland is, still a young team. They're dealing also with problems. They got Kevin Love back fairly recently, but Larry Nance has a mysterious illness that caused him to lose 20 pounds, I think, in about a week.
Right.
Cleveland's been struggling lately. They've lost 8 of 11, and last night basically was the same for both teams. Golden State, once they got going, they hit a certain speed, and Cleveland just could not keep up with them at all.
Right. And talking about the Warriors, obviously, Steph Curry has been making these records for himself. He's challenging himself now. He's coming up to a point of, in every game, he's coming up to a next level 2.0 Steph Curry.
Yeah, he really is, and it's interesting because the last couple of years since Golden State was really at their best, everyone around him has kind of fallen apart, and he missed most of last season too. But Klay Thompson hasn't played really now in 2 years. Draymond Green has had his struggles, and even some of the new players. Andrew Wiggins has been up and down. Kelly Oubre's been a disappointment. Wiseman had a lot of rookie struggles, and there had been some, I thought, very disturbing, misplaced criticism of Steph Curry early in the year that maybe he wasn't quite as good as people thought he was. And I don't know why you would doubt Steph Curry, but he seems to be showing everybody that, you know what, you don't need to worry about him. Like, he's just fine.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And obviously, they have won 20 out of their last 26 games against the Clevelands. And obviously, I think it's going to take the Cleveland Cavaliers a bit of time for them to come to that evolution point of view, because if we look at their standings, of course, they're still on the number 13 in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, Cleveland was expected to be one of the worst teams in the league this year, and I think they've actually, especially when they were healthy, were playing a little better than people thought, but they just don't have the talent yet. Kevin Love was out most of the season. He's still one of their best players. Kevin Porter Jr., who they were very excited about last year, right. There were some problems between him and the team, so they had to trade him. Isaac Okoro is a good-looking rookie, but he's not a great shooter, and he's struggling like most rookies do.
Right.
Cleveland is still probably a couple of years away and needs still to accumulate some more talented young players. They have a couple nice pieces, but they still have a long way to go.
Right, right. So, okay, so that was about, obviously, the Warriors against the Cavaliers. And we'll talk more about the next match that I wanted to discuss. Obviously, the Boston Celtics beating the LA Lakers 121 to 113.
Yes, this game was a little like the other one, but different in that Boston took a big lead early. They seemed to be coasting. They were up 27 with about 7 minutes left to go, and suddenly the Laker bench, it wasn't their starters. Their starters had been rested. It looked like the game was over, but the Laker bench went on an enormous 24-2 run. They got the game back to within 5. The Celtics were forced to bring back in all their starters. It was a noble effort by the Lakers, but with them missing LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they just are shorthanded a lot of nights. And with those two gone, Boston is just so talented compared to them. Jaylen Brown had a brilliant game. He had 40 points. He shot extremely well from the field. The Lakers, I think, especially their bench, you have to commend them for they didn't give up and the effort that they put in. But right now, the Lakers just don't have the firepower that they usually do.
Right, and obviously missing Andre Drummond was obviously a big blow for them with regards to the whole situation, because, you know, like you said, need to have that complete firepower. When we talk about the complete firepower, it's mostly about that duo or that trio in that team that could actually lift them up.
Yeah, and even right now, the Lakers who are playing last night, for example, Dennis Schroeder played. He has an infection in his foot. Marc Gasol dislocated his pinky during the game, but still played. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had back spasms. So the Lakers and Miami has been another team this year to watch for this because of how the schedule was disrupted last year by COVID. The Lakers had a very, very short offseason. They had less than 2 months from when they won the championship to when the season began. And I think a lot of people were concerned with they're a good team, but they're an older team. And were they going to suffer from having that very short rest period compared to most champions? And it looks like right now that they are struggling with that, but because LeBron and Anthony Davis are so good, the Lakers do have a bit of a luxury, and it doesn't really matter where they fall in the standings. They're fifth right now.
Right.
They're a little ahead of, Portland and Dallas are kind of right behind them, but it doesn't really matter where the Lakers end up because when the playoffs start, they're the champions. They're going to have LeBron and AD, and everyone else is going to have to still deal with that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And talking about one interesting match that took place lately, which was the 76ers versus the Nets. Obviously, the Nets have also been they've also been missing a lot of players off and on. But them losing against the 76ers, I think 76ers are like the ones that have put real firepower in them. But Nets not getting close to them. What's your take on that situation?
The Nets are a little hard to figure out. They're so talented that I think they're treating the regular season differently than most teams. I think most teams right now are just desperately trying to win games and come together as a team. And I think the Nets are so talented they are kind of treating the regular season like an experiment. And they're like the Lakers. I don't think they're really going to put all their best effort out into the playoffs. But what was weird about that game with Philadelphia was that um, the Nets didn't really try to win that game.
Right.
They rested Kyrie Irving even late into the game.
Right.
Kevin Durant didn't play because the Nets said that they didn't want to play him in consecutive games, which is strange because they played him the night before in Minnesota, who's a terrible team,
Right.
who the Nets could have easily beaten without him. And you would
Right.
think the Nets would want to save their best players for the big matchup with Philadelphia. They didn't.
Right.
They sat Durant. James Harden's been hurt. And again, they even when they were coming back late, they didn't bring Kyrie into the game. So I'm a little confused by them. I suppose they seem to think that they're so talented that rest matters right now more than experience and time together.
Right.
I've never seen a team as good as the Nets have as little time together as they've had, but they're like the Lakers. I think their whole season will start when the playoffs start, and they're not really worried about anything till then. It was a good win for Philadelphia.
True.
It gives them the tiebreaker. So if those teams end up even in the standings, Philadelphia will have the edge. But
You're
Brooklyn is
absolutely
very,
right. You're absolutely right. When KD was asked not to play, apparently he should have been playing this game against the 76ers rather than the other game that they played. But one thing now, obviously, I would want to talk about the retirement part of LaMarcus Aldridge, which is going to be a big, big, big loss for them, and not only for them, but obviously for the world of NBA, because he's been diagnosed with Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, which is a very devastating news for the world of NBA.
yeah, LaMarcus Aldridge has been a very quiet, wonderful, and a lovely player to watch over the years. If you like watching, I really enjoy watching the biggest players in the NBA when they have a lot of skill and they can shoot well. And my favorite player growing up was Patrick Ewing of the New York Knicks, and LaMarcus Aldridge reminds me of Ewing more than anyone I've ever seen. So kind of like a ballet playing basketball. If you watch the way he would spin
Right.
and turn and fake people out, and just a beautiful shot. He was always kind of an off the radar player because he spent most of his career on smaller teams who, even when they were good, Portland and San Antonio, didn't get as much media attention as LA or New York would get. But a wonderful player, very quiet, very soft spoken. Has even talked sometimes about how he thinks if he had his career but he was a louder player, he thinks he would have gotten more attention, but that just wasn't his style. And I always appreciated seeing him. Every time you got to watch him in a game, it felt a bit like a gift because his teams weren't on a lot and they weren't always the best teams, but he was always a brilliant player, especially when he was younger in Portland. There were years that he just destroyed teams in the playoffs, and he'll be missed. And I'm glad for his health. Obviously, I'm glad at the moment that he was aware of this, he was able to make that decision and put his family and his future first. But it would have been interesting to see what he could have done for the Nets in the playoffs because he's just such a gifted big player.
Right. I mean, like, if we look back into his track record, he's like 7 times NBA All-Star from 2012 to 16, then 18, then 19, 2 times All-NBA second team in 2015 and 2018, and 3 times All-NBA third team 2011, 14, and 16. So he has a lot of credits to him. And not only that, I think it's going to be a very big loss for the Nets for the fact that there have been various ups and downs with regards to Kevin Durant or even James Harden being, not being there and, getting through that injury and recovery. But then losing someone like LaMarcus Aldridge is surely going to be another big blow to the entire situation of the strategy of the Nets.
Yeah, I think especially in the playoffs now, when the Nets look at a team like Philadelphia, for example, Aldridge was going to be a big piece for them because he's such a good shooter that he would have forced Joel Embiid, who is Philadelphia's best player and one of the best defensive players in the league. Right. Embiid would have to come away from the basket to deal with Aldridge. The Brooklyn's other center, DeAndre Jordan, is not a good shooter at all. And I think the hope the Nets had was that by having Aldridge, even for a few minutes in playoff games, he would open up their offense because even at this advanced age, you cannot leave him open. You have to go out and guard him. And now that he's out, when they play against the better teams, the Nets are very talented with Durant and Harden and Kyrie. They don't have a lot of depth after they made the Harden trade. And losing Aldridge, their biggest questions are size and rebounding and defense. And losing Aldridge, I think, just makes those questions even more important.
Absolutely,
And even
Matthew.
more,
I think it's going to be a big loss. But anyways, thank you for being a part of the show and discussing the world of NBA with us.
yeah, thank you so much. I really am glad to be here.
Great. So that was Matthew, and he obviously did discuss the world of NBA. And it's been a tricky journey for the Nets specifically, obviously losing LaMarcus Aldridge to begin with. And obviously there's so many ups and downs coming. It's going to be really, really hard for them in the playoffs. But anyways, let's hope all goes well in that side of the world. Anyways, we'll quickly jump over to the world of tennis. And yes, in the world of tennis, there has been a major, major breakthrough. Djokovic actually lost against Dan Evans, and Dan Evans is going to be his career's first ever win on the Monte Carlo's Masters. And the strangest part, which you really want to know, is obviously this is the second time that Dan Evans, the Britisher, actually took part in the Monte Carlo's Master, which is obviously shocking. Obviously, Djokovic losing 6-4, 7-5 are very, very odd numbers. But anyways, congratulations on that victory to Dan Evans. I hope his career grows after that. And Djokovic is surely one legend out there. I'm sure he'll make a comeback when he has to. But anyways, this was pretty much it from the world of sports. You guys can totally reach out to us on our social handle, which is at the rate of Indus News Sports. That works for Instagram and Twitter. Till then, take good care of yourself, and bye-bye.